Okay. Okay. ಮೊದಲು ವೆರಿಫೈ ಆಗ್ತಿಲ್ಲ. What is you? Hey, what you?
Good evening, students. We are discussing reading, and today I'm going to start from where I left yesterday. We are to discuss post-reading stage. Now, in post-reading stage, the knowledge that they get through reading text has to be reinforced so that this knowledge becomes concrete in their mind. So we are to adopt such teaching practices or the activities or techniques in post reading stages. So what strategy are we going to exactly follow? Is summarizing. You try to assign through your homework or the classwork the summary of the text to the students. You can ask them to analyze, synthesize the text. You can ask them to reflect their personal opinion regarding the text, where actually they differ from the author, what different viewpoint they have. Similarly, you can ask them to evaluate the text about the strength and weaknesses within the text, and at last you can ask them to make connections. You can encourage the students to read to relate the text to other text what they have already read or other similar text. Please have a look. These are the strategies that we are going to follow in post reading stage. Summarizing, synthesizing, reflecting, evaluating, and making connections, or you can say linking. Now moving on to further slide in this, what reading activities are you going to follow in this stage, in post reading stage, so that the information, the knowledge is reinforced, builds up concretely, okay, shapes up, so that whenever they require it, they can retrieve it from their memory. Now, in post-reading activities, you can ask them to summarize and analyze a book, a novel, okay, lecture circles. You can form a group and have them discussions about what book they read, okay, taking on different roles and sharing their perspectives. You can assign each member a different role, okay. You can assign one member of the group to speak on the strength. You can assign another member of the group to speak on the influences it has on the reader's mind or the society or the societal impact. Similarly, you can assign another member of the group to speak about its weaknesses, okay, and so on and so forth. Discussions. Engage students in conversations about the text, where they are allowed to express freely. You can have discussions and debates too around the core theme of the subject or an idea that they just finished reading. Writing reflections. You can have students to write reflections, personal opinions, and how they felt about it. How is it going to influence the different sectors, the stakeholders concerned, the students, the audience, etc. You can assign project work regarding the regarding the theme or about the topic. So these are the post-reading activities. How are you going to summarize here? First thing is reflection, discussion, debate, project work, discussions, personal opinions, summarizing, etc. Now, what's the role of the teacher in teaching reading effectively? Let's discuss one by one. Facilitating each stage. As you know that there are 3 stages in teaching reading: pre-reading, while reading, and post-reading stage. Teacher must make himself available in all the stages to scaffold the learning, to support the learning. Supporting reading development. Teachers here can create a supportive environment through constructive feedback, positive feedback, through guidance, okay, and tailored instruction. That means differentiated instruction, because the proficiency level of the students varies. So few students might have difficulty in analyzing, inferring the information from the complex text. Here, teacher can have differentiated instructions for them, or can allow them to have a reading of a different text which is quite simpler in nature, until such time they develop some sort of proficiency to adjust in reading of complex text. Encouraging engagement. Now this is where not many students are motivated for. So you need to build up some sort of environment where they are motivated, where there is intrinsic, extrinsic motivation within the students to apply themselves in reading, or you may evoke the interest in reading amongst the students. Adopting to diverse learners, individualized instruction. As I already told you that students have different proficiency level. Not all the students are equal. Not all the students stand at the same level. So you need to differentiate according to their proficiency, according to their capabilities. You need to respond to that. So what you need to do is you give individualized instruction to those who require it. Okay? You can differentiate instruction, you can differentiate the challenge. You can have them custom made, you can have them read, make them read custom texts. Okay? Texts actually designed for them. Okay? If they are finding it, if the students in the class are finding it difficult, or they are having challenges in reading the text, you can fine tune it, or you can what you can do is withdraw this complex test and replace it with similar simpler text with uh, lower level of vocabulary. Okay, because students might perceive the advanced level of vocabulary a barrier in grasping the content. Now, multi-sensory approaches. So here, what you do is you apply this theory of multiple intelligence. Okay, if they are if they are if they have verbal intelligence, now let them discuss the text. Okay, if they have this visual intelligence, whereby upon seeing the text they can comprehend the subject, go on to discuss the pictures or the images within the chapters. So you can have graphic organizers or have picture walk for them, for example, and similarly adopt yourself to the other intelligence level. Okay. Differentiated materials. Not only you individualize instruction, but you also have to individualize the content, the text. You need to have various reading materials as source. Assessment and feedback. Ongoing assessment, that is formative assessment, to actually reflect upon the students' understanding, where they actually stand, what are the areas for growth, what are their strengths, where do they find it as challenging task, and thereby adjust your instruction and the complexity of the task. Now, constructive feedback. Whenever you are suggesting or advising students or guiding them, always remember in mind that positive feedback can do wonders to their ability. They will be actually happy to change, bring about a change. Okay, develop their reading skills further. Now, reflective practices. Promoting reflective practices among educators to evaluate the effectiveness of reading instruction, make data-informed decisions, and refine teaching strategies. Now, you can discuss among educators, various teachers, based upon the data, based upon the evidence that is available there through different sources, what strategies to actually adopt to meet the demands, to address the demands of different groups within the classroom, to better suit, to better cater to their individual needs. There should be a discussion. Now, recap. Teaching reading involves 3 stages: pre-reading stage, while reading stage, which is also known as during reading stage, then you have post-reading stage. There are different activities to be followed in each of these stages. So keep in mind that this is a sure short question. I mean, in reading, if you are asked about the question regarding the pedagogical aspect of reading, you need to know how to approach reading, what activities to follow in what stages. So in pre-reading stage, what you can do is you can have picture walk. If within the story there may be 1, 2, 3 pictures, let them explore, discuss about these pictures before actually indulging into actual reading. Now KWS chart. Students have prior knowledge, what they may know something about the topic or the thing. Now ask them what they want to know. Now let them write what they have learned after reading the text. KWL chart. Prediction task. Ask them to predict about the theme or the idea, about the characters within the in the story. Let them predict. Theme questions, open-ended questions related to theme. Let them ask to other students within the classroom. Let them ask the teacher. Let the questions not be close-ended. Let it be open-ended. Okay, so they speak their heart out. Next thing is while reading stage. What does a teacher apply here? What activities? How do you instruct? Now, in while reading stage, you have reading comprehension questions back in your exercise. Focus on that. You can ask them to focus on that so that they develop this skill. What skill they develop? Scanning for specific information. When they attempt this reading comprehension question, they exactly look out for the specific details, the facts or statistics in the text. Next is annotation tasks. Let them note or highlight the main points. Ask them to highlight the main points in the paragraph or in the story or the text. Think aloud. Ask them to think aloud and immediately speak whatever comes to their mind. So think aloud is one activity. Jigsaw reading. Now you ask, if you are teaching a story, if you are teaching an essay and there are different paragraphs, divide the students into various groups, and what do you do is assign a paragraph to one particular student in the group, assign another paragraph to another student in the group, and likewise ask them after they have comprehended this total information, or after they have built up their knowledge about the paragraph, let them share. So this is jigsaw reading. Okay, you're not asking a member to or a group. If you're forming many groups, assign a task. For example, one paragraph to one group, the other paragraph to another group. Now, within their amongst their members in a group, ask them to have discussions about its meaning. So, ask them to construct meaning of the paragraph, and later on they can go on to present their task. So, one specific task is divided amongst various members or various groups, and collectively they come together to discuss as a whole, as a unit, what it actually means. Text-based discussions. Now, within the text, there are many things to be discussed. You can have this as an activity in while reading stage. Summarization task is one of the common tasks. You can ask them to summarize the text, what the text actually means. Okay, so make them condense the text. Okay, highlighting the important valid points, highlighting key details, story mapping, role playing, peer questioning, character analysis, main idea identification, sequencing activities, text-based games. So these are the activities that you can follow in while reading stage. I'm not discussing further into this because I guess you are familiar with all the topics that are displayed over here. Now in post-reading stage, what do you do in post-reading stage is you're reflecting upon what you personally think of the text that you have just read. Okay, so it could be character interviews, After writing summary in the post-reading stage, you can have these various activities. The activities are writing a summary, reflective journal, character interviews, creating a timeline. Okay, because you know the events fall in order, in chronological order. You can have them uh, construct a timeline. Okay, what happened first, then next what, followed by what event, okay, so on and so forth. So you can ask them to create a timeline, conducting a book review. Okay, you can conduct a book review whereby they reflect upon their own personal opinion or thoughts or ideas about the book, what they actually felt, what the characters are about. Okay, character analysis within the essay also is an activity of post-reading stage that you can essentially apply. Book club discussion. Now, as you know that there are various clubs. Clubs are with a specific objective. Clubs are formed for a specific objective. Now, book club is formed to discuss the books. Now, in book club discussion, what happens is they assign a week for a book after each member has read the book. What happens is they come together for discussion on the very same book. Okay, character transformation. Now, in character transformation, you can ask them what would have happened if the character B played the character A and A played the role of character C. Okay. Please take a look. Now, before I move on, please write in the chat box the activities that you have carried out in your school in pre-reading stage, while reading stage, and post-reading stage. What activities that you actually have carried out? What activities do you intend to carry out in future? Please comment. I'm still waiting for your comment. Please do comment. Siru ji, Anita ji, Arkaman Lembu ji. I'm expecting from your side because I understand that students out there are all active, but they are not as active as you have shown yesterday. You have been commenting continuously. So we have been on this interactive board. I also urge other students to follow the suit that you have done, and I appreciate it. So I want comment from your side on what activities that you carried out and what activities you intend to carry out in future. All right, I'm getting few comments. So let us discuss on the challenges or the difficulties in teaching reading. what difficulties are there while you teach reading? First difficulty is diverse reading levels. Now, as I already told you that students uh, come from diverse proficiency levels, have uh, different capabilities within them. So it becomes a challenge for a teacher to address uh, the students of varied proficiency. Limited time for individualized instruction. If the class is huge, and in public schools, you find in secondary level the it's huge. There are many students, and with limited time to carry out your lesson plan, you find it very difficult to go for individualized instruction always. That is a challenge. Comment if you agree, please. Another challenge is to engage reluctant readers. Not many students try reading. Not many students are interested in reading a topic, and that's a challenge. These are reluctant readers, which they hesitate. Okay, they do not take this initiative of reading. So, how do you tackle this challenge? It's a challenge. Engaging reluctant readers, those who hesitate in taking part in active reading process. Balancing skill development. Now, reading also means that there are phonics, the decoding of information, comprehension. So, skill development, balancing between different skill level is a challenge. Next challenge is language barrier. Now they're reading the text in foreign language, and comprehending anything in a foreign language is has always been a challenge. Okay? So this is one of the points. Lack of reading resources. Now students, as you know, come from a different age group, and when you go on to teach class 9, 10, 11, 12, you find that uh, the reading materials or resources are not age appropriate or are not suitable to their uh, uh, maturity, intellectual maturity. They You may encounter uh, that the text is interesting enough for them. It is not suitable to their liking. Okay. Next is overcoming negative attitude. Some students have this negative attitude towards reading. This is also a challenge. Stemming from past experiences or perceived difficulties, which teachers must work to overcome. It, they feel that reading is always a tedious job, it's a difficult job to perform, and believing they may have false belief regarding reading. That is why they may not actually take part in active reading. Okay, so this becomes a challenge. Please take a look at this slide. Please feel free to ask any questions regarding this topic. And mind you that this is one probable question in your exam. Now, after we have read or discussed about the challenges in reading, let's discuss about the possible solution to in tackling those challenges. To address the challenges in teaching reading, you have to have differentiated instruction no matter how big the classroom size is. You have to have some time to differentiate the instruction based upon individual student needs. Professional development. Now, stay updated with the recent findings through research in ways of reading. Now, when I come tomorrow, I'll bring you a book, Ways of Reading, by a foreign writer, which I actually use in my leisure time to further explore the beauty of reading. Individualized reading plans. Now, as a subject teacher, you must be aware of their individual strengths. You are aware of their individual weaknesses. So create a plan. Suggest a plan to improve their reading. Incorporate technology. If they are finding it hard to buy a book, what you can do is incorporate or integrate technology, share them ebooks. Okay, the text may be age appropriate for them, and cheapest and the best alternative to buying physical books. Positive reading environment. Sorry for that. Foster a positive, supportive classroom atmosphere to encourage reading. As a teacher, it is your duty to have the supportive environment to foster reading amongst the students. You are responsible to create that environment within the classroom so that students of all age groups with different interest level enjoy the text, enjoy the reading. Collaboration and peer learning. Promote collaborative reading experiences among the students. Now, form groups. Ask them to read the essay or the story or the poem. Okay, in groups, it is much more enjoyable, and they also develop this team spirit amongst them. Family engagement. Now, this is one of the challenge, and you know that parents, after admitting their child to school, think that it is the sole responsibility of the school to address academic challenges of their students. Okay, but they also need to know that the educational perspective is also a shared responsibility which they should make, which they should actually commit to. So make family members commit to the learning, towards learning of their child. Balanced literacy approach. In this skill, what we can do is implement a holistic reading education covering foundational skills, comprehension, and real world application. Make them read different text, okay? Not just sports, but also of health, real world challenges, and modern technologies, innovation, and the other suitable and age appropriate text. You are growing you are growing the holistic attitude amongst the readers by doing so. Access to diverse materials. Ensure availability of diverse reading materials for students. Okay. Students may be interested in different themes or subjects or the topics. So make sure that this the reading text, reading material suits their interest. Responsive classroom management. When you are managing reading activities, make sure they enjoy it, they find it interesting, and the classroom teaching is supportive. Okay, supportive in the sense that teacher supports, but you also make sure that the students who are average or poor readers are guided or are helped by the better students or readers. Continuous professional learning communities. As a teacher, if you want to teach better, no matter what skill, you need to share the challenges and share your experiences, best practices amongst the professional community, and adopt the practices, best practices of others. Share your best practices amongst them and adopt the best practices followed by them. Okay, so there is mutual bond. Whatever the challenge you're tackling, there are solutions. And you may have, okay, irrespective of less experience, you may have better options. So it is about adopting better practices in the community. Okay, explicit instruction. Now, in teaching reading, if you don't provide them clear and detailed instruction, students have jeopardy in performing activities or taking the route necessary to perform the task or assignment. Multimodal literacy integration. Integrate various literacies to enhance overall literacy skills. By adopting these measures, educators can work toward overcoming challenges and fostering a love for reading in students. So these are the things that you can do within your boundaries to achieve sustained learning, and in particular the reading skill. Sample questions. Please take a look at these questions and at least try to write a few sentences about these questions. How can you develop? Let me find how you develop your answers. Okay, question number one. What is question number one? Can you share an example of a successful reading lesson or activity that you have implemented in the past, highlighting the key elements that contributed to its effectiveness? Okay, so here the question is asking about your personal or individualized experience relating to the best activity that you have carried out in your classroom which has which has resulted uh, fairly good enough. Okay, so you speak of that. First of all, what you have to do is introduce about best teaching practices and speak in next paragraph. Speak about what best practice that you carried out in your classroom, and please mention about the lesson or the article or the essay that you were teaching, reading. Okay, so and how you carried out, what activities did you follow, what did specifically your students enjoy. I'm giving you 5 minutes to write few lines. Okay, you should. It is not compulsory to write the whole answer. You can take 5 or 7 minutes to write your answer and send it to me in the chat box. There's a break of 5 minutes for you to do this task. You can perform any question. These are the probable questions. There are a lot of questions. Okay, what you need to understand is you are here learning to develop your answer. You're not here to rote learning about or from the notes that teacher provides you. Okay, so here you are actually trying to develop your answers, and I'm going to give feedback on that. Students, as I am going through your response or the replies regarding this question, let us move further and discuss about reading. Now, moving on to teaching writing skills. In reading skills, what did we discuss? We discussed about how to teach reading, what are the challenges, how to tackle those challenges, and we will discuss after this slide about the test items used in reading. Okay, so let us discuss writing. What is writing? According to Sperling, writing is meaning-making activity that is socially and culturally safe and individually and socially purposeful. Okay. So it is an activity. Keep in mind that this is an activity that is socially and culturally shaped and individually and socially purposeful. Pincus. According to Pincus, writing is primarily a linguistic activity with attention focused on the appropriate use of vocabulary, syntax, and cohesive devices. You need to understand that actually, when attempting for the second paper in English, you need to have at least 2 or 3 definitions for on each topic: listening, reading, writing, and speaking. Okay, so it gives halo effect. Now, after 2 definition, based on this, I have formed my own definition. So, what is writing? Writing is a productive skill and a powerful medium. What is writing? Is it receptive skill? No, it's a productive skill. And through writing, what do? You express your ideas, your thoughts, your feelings, your opinions, your beliefs, your cultural values. Okay, so whatever is there within you, it is, you can say that the text in readable form, to produce the text in readable form is writing. Okay, so through writing, what you're doing is you're producing text or a speech in print or in readable form. Reasons for teaching writing. Why do you teach writing? If there's a question in second paper, write down the purpose of teaching writing. What are you going to do? So let us discuss that. Why do you teach writing? What's the purpose? For formal communication. Okay, the communication in professional setting does not rely on what you speak individually to your boss or your manager or to your colleague. Communication is established through writing. Okay, this is how the state is run, office is run, embassies are run, diplomatic institutions are run. Okay, academic purpose. Not always the teacher stands in front of you. Not always the author is in front of you. So how do you read? How do you come to know about his perspective or view? You come to know through his or her written projects. Okay, written projects. It could be books, research paper, journal, article published. So for academic purpose, for to pass out schooling or to bachelor or master's level, you need to read books, and for uh, graduation also. So for academic purpose, writing is necessary because through writing you are reflecting how much you have learned. Okay? For assessment, now when you sit in the examination, you're trying to pour down, okay, you're trying to jot down what you actually know, how you are responding, okay, what you know about the question. You are pouring your knowledge, okay. So the knowledge that you have within you is now onto the paper, and that is what is going to be assessed. Therapeutic use. Now in your leisure time, you satiate your creativity. You may be interested in writing novels, poems, book, articles, essays. So to satisfy your interest, to satiate your desire, writing becomes handy. Writing skills. What are the essential writing skills? Vocabulary. You need to have for what audience are you writing? Okay. If you're writing for advanced, sorry, mature audience, you need to have advanced vocabulary. Okay. If your audience is a little immature, then simple vocabulary is enough. So one of the skill in writing is vocabulary. Okay, because you express through the words, these words in vocabulary. So the bigger the vocabulary, the complex or more mature or advanced level of your writing. Content, relevancy and appropriacy of content. You need to have, you need to write, you need to have this skill to write relevant statements, accurate statements, appropriate statements based on the subject, theme, or the idea. Organization, how you organize your sentences, how how's the flow of the paragraph or the sentences. Language use, what's the tone that you have used, how you have used language to deliver the message. Okay. What volume, in what detail have you expressed your knowledge? Mechanics, grammar, punctuation, spelling fall under this skill. Okay. The sub skills under mechanics are grammar, okay, rules of grammar, and spelling, the knowledge of punctuation. Okay, so how are you going to memorize this? How are you going to memorize the writing skill? It's easy. I'm going to give you a mnemonic. V O O C O O. O for vocabulary, C for content, O for organization. O O O L for lab, M for M. Vocolam. Vocolam. How are you going to memorize the writing skills? You are going to memorize through this mnemonics. Okay. Sorry. O lamb. Vocalam. View vocabulary, C content, O organization, LA language and mechanics. Vocalam. If you memorize this, you need not worry about memorizing the skills, core skills of writing. Vocabulary, content, organization, language use, and mechanics. These are the skills in writing. Okay. Before I proceed further in teaching writing, let us discuss about the challenges in teaching writing. What are the challenges? Real challenges. Teaching writing to secondary level students present unique level of challenges, set of challenges, and these are as stated here. Diverse skill levels. Now, as I told you, as we discussed in our teaching reading stage, that the students have different proficiency. So here in writing also you have a varied proficiency level amongst the students. Okay, so that diverse skill level is a challenge. Now there may be students who are poor in writing and there may be students very good at writing. So how are you going to teach writing to these two in the same academic setting? How are you going to address the different needs, different writing needs? Okay, so that's a challenge. Next is engagement and motivation. Students, those who are poor in writing, may not be motivated enough to write. How are you going to bring? How are you going to bring engagement amongst the students? How are you going to motivate them to write, to practice writing, to take part in writing? Because many students don't see the relevancy of writing. Now, why do you work? Because you earn money. Okay, you win the bread and butter for your family. That is why you are in a profession. You are teaching. So there is the relevancy, financial relevancy. Okay. Now, similarly, if you are not making them realize the relevancy of writing, they are not going to be motivated enough in taking up this skill. Complex writing skills. Writing is a challenge. Okay? It's a process, and writing is the skill that is developed later in LSRW sequence. Okay, it is the last skill because on the order of different language skills, it falls at last. Means that it is very late picked up by students. Okay. So before they go on to capture the writing skill, they develop listening skill, they develop speaking skill, they develop bit of reading skill, and only after that they pick this writing skill. So they develop it quite later in their life, but we need to make sure that, because since it is a productive skill and there are various purposes of writing: for formal communication, for academic purpose, for therapeutic use, and for assessment purpose, and wherever they go. Okay, and even for their professional excellence. It depends how well they can write, how well they can communicate formally. Writing is in those situations is a format. So complex writing skills is a challenge. because writing is a structured. It is actually structured, so students find it as a challenge. It poses a challenge. There's grammar, there's set rule of grammar, there's vocabulary, syntax, there's mechanics of writing. Okay, so they find it as challenging. Grammar and mechanics. Addressing grammar and punctuations while fostering creativity can be a delicate balance. Now, if the students rely on using advanced vocabulary, they at times may make grammatical errors. And if you go on to correct errors, then the creativity may not foster, because they will be more dependent upon creating grammatically accurate sentences. So creativity takes a hit. Okay, so in order to create a fine balance between these two, you need to adopt right strategies and approaches. This is a challenge. Different writing genre. Okay, whether it's a narration, a narrative, or whether the essay is persuasive, whether it is explanatory. There are different writing genre. So writing according to different genre is a complex task. That is why they face challenge. Feedback and assessment. Continuous feedback and assessment is needed, student to student, for all the students, and this is a challenge because students may need in a large classroom setting, there may be a need of individualized instruction, differentiated instruction, and to give feedback to one feedback is not enough for all the students, because they come from different very proficiency level, and each may have different challenge. One may have a challenge with vocabulary, another may have challenge with punctuation. Within the same classroom setting, individual needs are to be addressed. They are to be assessed. They are to be given feedback. So, due to time constraint, it becomes a tedious job, complex job. It poses a challenge. And without feedback, they are not going to improve. As you in your career did not improve, you much relied upon the positive, constructive feedback from your peers, from your colleagues, and friends or teachers. It's a similar situation. They rely upon the feedback from the teacher. Now, approaches to teaching writing. Now, if you are asked about how do you approach teaching writing, you must understand that there are two approaches to teaching writing. First is product approach, and another is process approach. Product approach and process approach. There's a difference. Okay. The difference, you can easily figure it out from the name itself. As the name suggests, product approach, the emphasis here is on the product, delivering a product. That means delivering the fine piece of writing. You need to write whatever way you adopt, in whatever possible ways. Because here, what is the emphasis? Emphasis is on producing writing, producing a text. Now, in process approach, product is not, there is no emphasis, there is little emphasis on product. Rather, this approach relies much upon the process, and it believes that if the process is right, product is going to be right. So there's a difference. Okay. So how do you approach teaching? Let's delve further. Let's explore further through our slides. Product approach. And if you have to teach, if you have to adopt product approach in teaching writing, you need to know the stages involved in this. Now there are three stages: controlled writing, controlled writing, guided writing, and free writing. These are the three stages. Okay, so they come in chronological order. You're not going to teach free writing first. You're going to teach them controlled writing first, and upon the acquiring of uh, expected proficiency, you move further. You move further into guided writing and then onto free writing. So what does product approach has? It has three stages, namely controlled writing, guided writing, and free writing. So what's controlled writing? It is a technique used to teach students. What teach? Teach writing. How do you teach? By providing specific guidelines. It is about teaching students the writing through specific guidelines and constraint. Here in control writing, they are not, there is no privilege of free expression. They have to work within the specific guidelines, within the range of the specific guidelines. There are constraints. Okay, the emphasis is on producing grammatically accurate sentences. Okay. Structure and controlled environment. These are the keywords. Structure and controlled environment under specific guidelines and constraint. Teacher teaches students the writing. What is given here? A set of instruction is given here. You cannot go on to express freely whatever you know. You have to rely upon the set guidelines. Okay, it may be the word limit. You cannot go beyond the word limit. For example, it may ask you to write in 200 words, 150 words, 250 words. You cannot go beyond that. You cannot just write whatever you know. You cannot express freely your thoughts. Okay, free flowing thoughts will only come after you have acquired the free writing stage, or you have acquired the competency level of the previous other stages. Now it targets. The focus is on the targeted writing skill. Okay. So these are the keywords that I have underlined. Please take a look. Example of control writing. Please take a look. So this is an example activity. You are teaching students to write a descriptive paragraph. And what you are following is you're making them write in a controlled environment. So this is an example of controlled writing. So what's there? See the instruction. You know, in controlled writing, you have to abide by the specific guidelines and instructions. You cannot go beyond that. So here, what's the instruction? Instruction number 1. Instruction number 1 is to write on a familiar object or place. Okay. So you are writing about, here you are given the task to write about a familiar place or object. You are given the suggestion. You may write about park, you may write about favorite food or a pet. First, instruction number 1. Now, a specific format is given. How are you going to write? What length are you going to write? You cannot write beyond 5 sentences. You just have to write 5 sentences. Okay, this is the format, and you have to divide this 5 sentences into introduction, body sentence, and conclusion. Okay, you cannot just go on to write introduction in 5 sentences. Okay, the first sentence has to be, you have to introduce the topic in first sentence. You have to write the body structure in 3 sentences, and the final sentence will be the concluding statement. So this is the specific format. They have to set, they have to abide by this specific format. Now next, what is number 3? Give students a list of sensory details. Sensory details. Since they are writing about since they are writing about a place or an object, they have to make sure their audience has this sensory perception. You are trying to evoke this perception. Okay. Perception of what? Perception of sight. Okay. What a vibrant city. Vibrant. That means colorful, enjoyable. So you are giving some sense. If you are describing sound, buzzing. Okay. Then you may say that barking of dogs, meows of cat, and bray of cattle. For example, donkey. Smell. So here you describe about the flavor, aroma. How is it blended together? Give you a different smelling sensation. Taste. Is it bitter? Is it sour? Is it mayonnaise type? Okay. Is it sugary? Is it syrupy? Okay. So what's the taste? Is it salty? Is it vinegar taste? Is it acidic? Is it alkaline? So these words evoke the sensory perception among the audience, and writing is to is written from the perspective of the audience. If whatever the text you are producing, you back in your mind, you are doing this thinking about the audience. Okay. Now, fourth instruction is set a word limit to encourage concise and focused writing. You may be asked to write in 50 words. 100 words. So, what have you followed? You have followed the instruction. Instruction 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So, there's acceptance, or there is a there's you are following the set guidelines, instructions, rules. So, this is about controlled writing. Okay. Before I, due to time constraint, we cannot move further and discuss about writing here in today's session. But I would like you to do or perform a task. The task is, for what students are you going to adopt controlled writing? Question is, for what students are you going to adopt controlled writing? You need to specify the group. Okay, so this is your task, and you are given 5 minutes of time. After that, I will have the feedback, individualized feedback. Please go on to do the task. In what scenario are you going to use controlled writing? That much we have from our today's session. I'll take your responses and we will end this session here. Thank you for being with me. Alright, students, as you are immersed into attempting in the task that I just asked you to do, I'm about to take your feedback on this. Or we may have in tomorrow's session the feedback first and then the slides further. It would be better to do that way. Okay, so having said that, I'm saying goodbye to you from today's session. We will meet further tomorrow on a new topic, or sorry, on this topic. It hasn't finished yet.